Welcome, everybody. It is your girl, Marcie Thomas, and I am here with you for another episode of Live Well Sister. So come on in the room and get ready to join us for a great conversation about something that's important to all of us because we all eat, right? We all like to eat. We all need to eat. We need to eat to survive. Some of us enjoy cooking, some of us don't, but no matter which end of the spectrum you land on, we all have to eat and we want to be able to do it and make sure that we're eating well. So that's what this conversation is all about. So if you got friends and family out there who need to know some more about nutrition and healthy living, please invite them on into the room, invite them into the space, and get ready for a great conversation. So again, by means of introduction, I'm Marcie Thomas, founder of Brown Girl Collective and Live Well Sister. And we just celebrated our 15-year anniversary on Saturday. So I'm super excited to continue this work of bringing just great conversations and great specialists and thought leaders and professionals into this space to be able to help us do just that, live well. So this guest for today, I've been dreaming of talking to her since actually December of last year when we had our best of the year, our winner's circle of books, and one of the ones that we chose was a cookbook of the year, and this was the cookbook of the year. There were a couple others, but she blew everybody away who voted for who should be the best cookbook, and that is Agatha Achindu's Bountiful Cooking. So we're about to get into that here in just a moment. So Agatha is here, and she is a certified integrative nutrition health coach, a wellness entrepreneur, a speaker, a lifestyle writer, TV personality, chef, and yoga teacher. She is a native of Cameroon and Nigeria, and she believes that eating healthy and nutritious food has never been a trend for her, but yet a way of life. She lives in the Atlanta area, as I do, and I say she's got to fix me some food one day. But she lives in the Atlanta area with her husband and youngest son. And without any further delay, let's welcome Agatha to Live Well Sister. Welcome.
Hi, Marcie. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yes.
Congratulations. I
Yes,
didn't realize that you guys have been doing this amazing work for 15 years.
15 years. Just celebrated that on Saturday. So, and it's like a lot of things in life, it's evolved over time, but here we are. And I'm really happy to still be here and be able to bring people like you into the space. So, first of all, I know the book has been out for a while, Bountiful Cooking, but congratulations on putting such a powerful work out into the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So what was the process like for you? I know you've been in this work for a while, and putting out a cookbook, something that's really substantial and beautiful. There are a lot of wonderful photos and great stuff in here that we're going to get into some of. But what was it that made you know that you had to actually create a cookbook to share with the world?
So the truth is, I didn't plan on writing a cookbook.
Okay.
Every time I would share a recipe on social media, folks would be like, oh, when is your cookbook coming out? When is your cookbook coming out? When is your cookbook coming out? And some lady who follows me on Instagram DM me, is like, you need a cookbook. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. Then I started talking to a few friends, and they connected me with an agent, and it wasn't working.
Okay.
Because I honestly didn't know, anything about writing a cookbook. And another friend of mine reached out to me. I'm like, why don't you have a cookbook out yet? So I told her, I said, oh, I'm working with an agent. I already paid the agent $3,000.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, that by itself is a red flag, because you're not supposed to pay an agent. Your agent makes money when you make money. And she's like, okay, wait, would you like me to introduce you to my agent? So I'm like, yes. And so she introduced me to her agent, Allison. And from the day she introduced me to Allison to the day I got a cookbook deal
Mm.
was 6 months.
Wow.
Yes, because Alison Ferguson, she's the goat. But again, it wasn't really a cookbook per se.
Mm.
People come to me with a lot of questions. And before I founded my first brand, Yummy Spoonfuls, I used
Yeah.
to host a ton of free workshops that people will come. I would teach workshops. But when that brand started growing, I wasn't as easily accessible as I
Mm-hmm.
would like to my community. So I kept saying, oh, I would want a book that I would have my thoughts. Why
Mm-hmm.
use organic for these things? Why
Right.
use this type of parts? Why use this type of oils? I mean, all these things that used to just shock the living daylight out of people in the workshops. They're like,
Mm.
oh, I didn't realize this is bad because why is it in the store?
Right.
That
Mm.
was my whole thing. I wanted to have a place where people can easily go and get some of this information.
Well, that makes sense because you're right. If you are just having workshops or running a business or other things like that, you are limited in your time and energy to even be able to share. So by putting this book out in the world, that allows so many of us to tap into your brilliance. And I told you this beforehand, so I'm not just saying this for the audience, but I fell in love with you. I fell in love with the work that you're doing because
Thank
just in
you.
the first 40 pages, I learned so much.
Yeah.
But let's start at the beginning because you grew up in Cameroon.
Yes.
So your experience of food is just different from the onset, very different from what we experienced growing up here in the United States.
Yes. And today I look back and I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I had the maturity to appreciate how good life was at the time
Mm-hmm.
because I grew up eating straight from the ground. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any, processed foods. We didn't even, if I'm eating bread, the bread that I would eat on Monday is made on Monday in the morning. If I eat bread on Tuesday, the bread was made on Tuesday. It was just that simple. They go to the farm, harvest food. For the things that we didn't grow, we buy from the farmer's market. And
Mm-hmm.
food is cooked every day. Until I was 23 years old, I believe the only thing I remember seeing in a can was
Mm.
tomato paste,
Okay.
and sardines. Those were the two things. I've
Wow.
never seen rice, beans, and things that's already pre-made. Never seen until I was 23 years old when I came to the United States.
Wow.
Yes.
That's something. And so it was a rude awakening for you. I know in the book you talk about an experience of, being in college and going to a grocery store and like, what in the world?
Yeah. And this is, I think this is the one, I mean, I have many things that I want people to take from just when somebody meets me, the experience that I want for them is that life in its totality can be better.
Mm,
And the loudest narrative doesn't necessarily have to be true. And that's the same with food, because we're made to believe that food, healthy food, doesn't taste good,
mm-hmm.
and that there are some food that are absolutely bad for you, which, while some of these things might be true, it's not the same for everybody.
Okay.
Just how we experience food. If you want to eat real food, you invest a little bit of time,
Mm-hmm.
you it will blow your mind how incredible food is, just how amazing it tastes. And the
Mm-hmm.
nutrients, it's an added bonus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But coming from a whole different food culture, experiencing what fresh food taste like, it was easy for me to go like, oh no, this, yeah, it's beef, but it doesn't taste like beef
Wow.
because it doesn't really have taste.
Mm.
Because I can compare two things. But if you're in this culture, if this is what you know, sometimes it's hard to even believe that something as simple as corn or tomatoes, let me use tomatoes.
Okay.
If you grow tomatoes in your backyard and allow that tomato to just follow its own lifespan, and when it's ripe, you harvest that tomato. If you taste that tomato, you would ask yourself, like, what have I been eating before? Because
Mm.
it tastes absolutely different.
That's true. That's
Tomato that's outside is sun-kissed. I mean, you bite into it, you can just, you can taste the sunlight.
mm. Wow. That's true. That is very true. And I know more people nowadays are starting to, grow their own foods, which is a good thing. It was a natural part of your upbringing, of course, here historically, here in the
Yeah.
United States. That's what was happening. But of course, over time, things have changed and folks have gone to what is convenient, number one,
Yeah.
and also sometimes what's accessible, because there are people who might live in areas where maybe it's not so as easy for them to get access to fresh fruit and vegetables in season, because we're going to talk about that.
But I think this is what makes my story and everybody's story. I've lived in an area where there was no grocery stores. Just like today, I live in an area where there are all type of grocery stores. So I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced both worlds. But I think the missing piece is because there is not such a huge emphasis of the importance of food. So people don't, for somebody who is someplace where they don't have the real grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
they won't prioritize food as much as they would prioritize buying fancy shoes, fancy handbags,
Mm.
going to the movies. I, with my legs, I have walked 6 miles one way to go to a Trader Joe's because I
Mm.
wanted organic beans.
Okay.
And walking, I passed different dollar store,
Mm.
liquor store, fast food joints, and all those things. I would sacrifice like that because I know that I am literally what I eat.
Right. Right.
How we eat is how we are going to age. Food,
Mm-hmm.
while there are lots of factors that really influence our health, you know, stress, physical, you know, all these other things, food is still the most important. But
Yeah.
if we're not made to realize that, we
Right.
don't care as much.
Right. Someone just put up repeating what you said, how we eat is how we age. That is so true. And you talk about that in the book. It's like we hear all these sayings over the years, but sometimes somebody just says something and it makes sense. So how we eat is how we age. That's
Yeah,
one of those things. And
yeah,
garbage in, garbage out. We've heard that,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
as well. So, but it's like it's one thing to hear it and it take it in like I said, intellectually, but
yeah,
it's a whole different thing when you are able to really implement those things into your life.
yeah,
Yes, the book is Bountiful Cooking. Yes, but yes, it makes a real big difference because you can know it
yeah,
intellectually, but if you're not actually walking in it, That's a totally
Yeah.
different thing. And I think for a lot of us, that's what it is. But then
Yeah.
you also talk about, there is the American diet. What is it? Standard American diet, which is sad.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's sad. Even
And
though
that's the truth. Yeah.
yes, even though we
Yeah.
may have learned about nutrition coming up, we may have. I don't even know if they teach that anymore in schools. But what we're learning isn't necessarily the things that are going to help us live our healthiest lives.
No, it's not. And we come back, you said it, that convenience, we pay a huge price for convenience. And even when I go back about how we live, how we eat, is how truly we age. If you even listen to the narrative about aging, oh, everybody, it's like menopause. When you're going through peri or menopause, you have to put on weight, you have to have hot flashes, you have to. And when you listen to the narrative, you just think this is the way, and it's not true. I'm going to be 57 years old. I don't have those experiences because of how I eat. If you look at, let's just say, canned food, we hear about the dangers of BPA that's in the can. It's an endocrine disruptor, it's a hormonal disruptor, but it's hard to connect when you're actually living in it. Nobody thinks well in his thumb. You
Right.
don't realize that, oh, all these things that you're doing, little by little, is this one body, it accumulates in your body. So by the time you get to 30, 40, it's almost like life is, you're just in a constant whirlpool. You're over, it's hot flashes. Oh, I'm putting on weight. Is brain fog? Is this? As common as it is, it's not normal.
Right.
That's why conversations like this are really important, because I want people to be like, oh, so feeling this way is not how everybody does when they go through this path,
Right.
right? How we eat really matters. And the standard American diet, which if you really look at it, it's wheat, it's corn, it's sugar, and dairy. That's it. So many things just wraps around that. We have to really take a step back and say, okay, how does eating this way make me feel? It doesn't matter how it makes your sister, your best friend, or your favorite influencer. Food has an immediacy to it. This is the magic about food. Because when you eat food that's good for you feel energized. When you eat food that's not good for you feel sleepy, you feel bloated, you feel gassy, you have acid reflux. I mean, food talks to us
Absolutely.
every day. We just have to pay attention.
We have to pay attention. We have to listen to what it's saying. Yes, I see there's a question about meat. We're going to start getting into some of that stuff now, because
Yes.
nutrition, I mean, there are, a multitude of vitamins, minerals, things that we can get. And, there are people, I'll admit, I will raise my hand, that take supplements. And you talk about supplements that they are meant to be just that, a supplement.
Yes. Supplements, and there is a reason why they are called supplements. They are supposed to supplement something. So if you're going through a rough patch, say for example, you're eating well, and then you get sick and you lost your appetite, and you supplement for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for 4 weeks, while you're still eating and sleeping and doing all the good things for your body, then you're getting the benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you eat crazy and you're taking all these supplements, it really does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that they make money. You should pull every month there is something that comes out
Mm-hmm.
about supplements. They are not as effective as we've been made to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is one eye opener to me in this country, I've been in this country for 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
COVID was a powerful reminder that those things don't work,
Right.
because we just realized, like, oh my gosh, immune systems were so compromised
Mm-hmm.
because people don't eat well.
Right.
So what the human body needs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so funny, without even trying to, go into the Bible, but right in the Bible, it's all the things that we should be eating. The way God made us, the things that is from the soil or from the water, that's not from a lab, are the
Mm-hmm.
things that are bioavailable to us, that we can easily digest. But at some point, it's always, because this is the other part of when with technology, there is all this advancement. Not all of it is good. Like, oh, we figure out how to fly a plane. That's good technology. We figure out how to take oil and make butter. And for a while, we were convinced that these oils are better than the real butter from the cow,
Mm-hmm.
which is a non-living thing. And we saw the havoc that it created, and they changed it. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot tell you how many, even all these preservatives and additives. If you go back 30 years, you would see chunks of additives and preservatives that at some point they were approved.
Mm-hmm.
And after years, they're like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. This causes cancer. We can't use it anymore. But for 10 years, 20 years, it was in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we really have to pay attention.
Pay attention for sure. And like you mentioned it in the book and you've mentioned it here, understanding that some things it's all about the money. It's not about making sure we have what we need to live have a healthy life, to live a long life. It's not about that. It's about what's convenient. It's about what's going to give people, fatten other people's pockets while
Yeah.
it's shortening our lives and fattening other people's pockets in the midst of that. And so that's why this type of information is so important to understand. And I mean, she's not saying, Agatha's not saying everybody's got to go out and be a vegan or whatever, because there could be some things with that too, especially depending on what you're eating, even as a quote unquote vegan.
Oh
But
yes. Oh girl, listen. I I feel so strongly. It's one of the reasons why this book is out in the market. It's not, I feel so strongly about any type of diet and all these different. If you're vegan, if that's what works for you, and again, please remember, it has to work for you.
mm-hmm,
When you are eating the way that's good for you, you would look it, you would feel it, you would love it, you would act it. So they are vegans. I've had clients with major health issues
mm-hmm,
who were vegans. Just like I have clients who are not vegans with major health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever way you choose to eat,
Mm-hmm.
you have to eat the most wholesome form of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, vegan, vegetarian, Atkins,
Mm-hmm.
whichever you choose to do. But I hope that by the time we get to the end, we can talk about what is the best way that you can eat and try for yourself and see if it works. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think we overindulge in some things. Whether you're eating meat, I just think we eat too much of things.
Right. Because there was something actually. I bookmarked this page because one of the things that you said. Well, I bookmarked some of them just because you're cute in those pages on those pages. It's basically if we're going since we're on the topic of meat, if you're going to eat it, let it be good quality meat that was
Yes,
humanely pasture raised, and if it's seafood, it should be wild caught. And if we're going to eat it, we don't have to eat a whole bunch of it.
yes. So I'll tell you, when I first came to the United States, I remember going to a restaurant. A friend of mine took me to a restaurant. We're three of us. And I was looking at the menu. I'm like, okay, wait. Quarter pound of I think it was half a chicken. So I couldn't, like, I was having a hard time understanding. I said, oh, do you want a whole, half, or a quarter of chicken by myself? And if you can think that I just came from a home that we would prepare a whole chicken for the whole family, because the meat was never the main thing. Meat was just the little thing that goes. So it wasn't the main thing. But here we eat meat is the dish, and then the veggie is the side.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be the other way around,
Mm-hmm.
because the portion is 4 ounce. It's like this little palm.
Right.
That's how much you need, depending on your size, your age, your weight. I mean, those things matter. But every day you eat this much meat, and we are surprised that there is this high rate of chronic preventable diseases. A lot of I've talked about this, that when you look at for the 10 top leading causes of death in the United States, 7 is diet and lifestyle.
Hmm.
7 out of 10 is
Mm-hmm.
how we eat and how we live.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's making us sick.
It's making us sick.
Is it the high blood pressure? Is it cancer? Is it type 2 diabetes? I mean, all these things are directly related to how we eat and how we live.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
But
just
if we're going to eat meat,
mm-hmm.
truly,
Mm-hmm.
this is the other thing. I had a client who, for a while, when we started working, because when I'm working with somebody, we do a total health history.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, like, if you're on medication and all these different things. But I knew she was doing the right things, because I'll come up with weekly menus. She was juicing, she was doing all of this. And I'm like, why is the inflammation not going? I could look at her skin. And so I said, let's just go through what you ate this week, or all the veggies, and then I'll see meat a couple of times. So I'm like, okay, what kind of meat? Where are you getting the meat? It's like,
Mm.
oh, I got the meat. I said, is it pastured? Is it grass fed? And she was like, what has that got to do with the price of tea? I'm eating the little portions, as you said. I said, but wait,
Mm.
if you are eating meat that's not pastured, it's not grass fed, you're eating meat that's fed grains. So all the issues that you're having when we eat grains the corn, the soy, high amount, you're eating meat that the omega ratio, because it's supposed to be the omega-3 that's higher than the omega-6, that
Mm-hmm.
when it's grain fed, it's flipped. It's
Mm.
the omega-6 that's higher than the omega-3. And she was just like, it took within 3 weeks of her switching to grass-fed beef. You could see her skin.
Wow.
We don't realize the inflammation that we get from all this, from please eat pastured. And I know I want to speak on the fact that it's more expensive,
Yeah.
but this is the interesting part. We don't need to eat that much meat.
Right.
A little goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And once in a while we can splurge, but if it's just for normal sustenance, like, oh well, I eat, you don't need that much meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. When back in the day, when money was tight, and back in the day, it's not like that was 20 years ago. I'm
Right.
talking like 10 years ago, 7 years ago. Meat would be on my shopping list when we have extra money. We can go for months. I won't even touch meat. Like, what's the point? Because if I want to eat it, I want the good stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I eat beans, I eat, rice, tofu, lots of, for those who follow me, I share almost every day my Instagram stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's unscripted, it's just what we make at home. I
Mm-hmm.
love, I love, I love, 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 love veggies. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, plant tastes fantastic. I eat meat, I eat everything. But those are my favorite because you can, I mean, there are as many as the stars
That's
with
true.
all type of beautiful colors. You
That,
can't get tired.
that is so true. Karen says, I went on a raw diet for a week just to see the difference, and I could feel the difference in how I felt and thought. All those things. All
Yes.
those things. But in the book, in Bountiful Cooking, you talk about nutrients, and I like the way it's broken down in that if you need more vitamin D, you tell us what we need to eat if we need vitamin D. If perhaps you go to the doctor and the doctor says your iron levels are low, you tell us the things that we can do that will
Mhm.
help to raise our iron levels in
Yeah.
this book. And
Yeah.
I really love that because it is so easy to think it's always a pill. And we've already
Yeah.
established that the pills or the medication or the supplements are there to do just that, to supplement. But if you're
Yeah.
eating crappy and thinking that the
Yeah.
pills or the supplements are going to make a difference, they're not, really making a
Yeah.
difference. So I love that you tell us like how to do that. If we need
Thank
probiotics,
you.
prebiotics, because
Yeah.
our gut health is
Yeah.
important. How to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. It's funny. Again, I really am grateful, and I don't take this for granted at all, that I just came from a completely different culture, because growing up in Nigeria or in Cameroon, and things unfortunately are changing. Honestly just did a campaign with the World Health Organization. They just shared it on their page yesterday, because
Mhm.
this whole
So
problem that we're having here is slowly shifting to Africa, unfortunately, because people want to eat the Western diet, which is wrong. Dr. Andrew Wales, I think I'm pronouncing his name well. Dr. Andrew the last name is Wiel or
I've seen it.
Weil. Yes.
Mhm, mhm,
They did a study, and this could have been 15 years ago, and Cameroon was one of the countries that had the best gut health.
mm,
And the reason I'm bringing this up, we didn't grow up with vitamins. We didn't grow up with any of those. We just grew up eating food That's how we experience food. And this knowledge gets passed from grandparents. It just keeps going like, okay. And I don't even know how they knew, like, this is for this is what you eat for this. Even kombucha today, I remember as a kid seeing that Scooby in our refrigerator, just looking so messy. Like, how did my mother even know about these things? We have been shifted to believe that, oh, the easier and the best way is to use vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
But the easiest and the best way is to eat the real food. So if somebody is like, oh, let's take turmeric. There is the turmeric capsule. Why don't you just use turmeric? You can get the turmeric root, or you can get the turmeric powder. That is just the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple, because when you eat the food, you don't only get the nutrients, you feel your tummy.
Right.
If you take the pill, it's
Mm.
just, you're still hungry.
Right. And I'm smiling because I love what you're saying, and I'm also smiling because on the inside I'm so convicted because I'm a person that I have the supplements, and now that they make the gummies, that makes it even better because I don't have to swallow a bunch of pills.
Oh,
But
and
realizing that,
you
man,
need, I want you to research with the gummies.
yeah.
The gummies are the worst form that you can take any supplement, because it's sugar based. It has, like, the if you want to take any supplement, and again, they are called supplement for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
There are times that you will need it. Like, if you look right here, this is spirulina. I
Mm-hmm.
love spirulina. When I've been walking back to back, I would do spirulina in my water. The one from the Hawaii, that's like just the clean one. Things like that. These are live foods.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
will not take it every day,
Right.
but we have to be mindful. Don't waste your money, especially when you see all these things like 7 superfoods,
Mm,
20 superfoods in it. Marketing makes you think like, oh, when it has this many, that's what works.
mm-hmm.
But then when you think about it, if you are trying to get vitamin A, for example, and it's like, oh, this is carrot. That's high in beta carotene, so it's vitamin A. But they're like, oh, it has carrots, it has butternut squash, it has. It increases the price
Mm,
point of whatever you're buying. But then you're getting a little itty bitty of all these different things,
mm-hmm.
when you should just be getting 100% of this one thing.
Right. It
Yes,
makes
but back to your point, gummies.
yes. Like,
Yes.
I'm convicted now. So thank you, Agatha.
I'm sorry, Mama.
But I mean,
I'm sorry.
the thing is that, but I mean, we have these conversations so we can learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do better because if you don't know better, you can only do better when you know
When
better.
you know better, I believe in that so much.
Right. And Karen is saying the raw diet was hard and she gave in, and this lets you know it's something addictive and unhealthy, or what they call low vibrational food. Yeah, that's true.
So, and I know we talked about this. There are foods. I mean, when we look at the science of it, there are foods that you get the best nutrients when the food is cooked. Tomato is one of those things. Carrot. There are lots of foods that you need to cook. So, I would never do a raw diet completely, because even there are seasons that my body would want grounding, warming foods. I
Mm-hmm.
love salads. I like to make sure that I have something raw, like fresh smoothies,
Mm-hmm.
salads. Those would be the raw things. And then I would eat food. But I would not, I don't, it's not something I would recommend to my client that they would just go on a completely raw diet. For some things, it's hard for your digestive
Mm,
system to really break down, like like beans, something like beans.
mhm,
Even I see people like, oh, I get gassy when I eat beans. I said, yes, because a lot of people eat beans that they buy, like canned beans and stuff. The way they would cook the beans, they don't really get the lectins out of it.
mhm,
When you boil beans at home, one, you soak the beans. Sometimes I'm in a rush, I don't remember to soak. But when I soak, if I don't soak the beans, I boil the beans like for 10 minutes. When you boil the beans, you see like some white foamy things on top. You
mhm,
you rinse that out and you cook the food. When you cook it properly, so can you imagine somebody just soaking beans and then they kind of blend it to eat, or soak grains to eat raw? That's a lot
mm,
for your digestive system.
mhm,
But for people that it works for, fine. I think a lot of folks get into some of these things because they are desperate. They want results.
right.
Either or they are dealing with some health issues, or they are trying to lose weight and this, but there are easier ways. And so long as you're giving yourself grace and you're being patient,
Mhm,
you can slowly, it's just slowly take some of your triggers. A lot of times it's like the vegetable oils that causes inflammation, the sugar, those things, and start replacing them with lots of fresh plants. And I
mhm,
know we talked about this. I want to just say that for folks who the budget is really tight, and I know it,
mhm,
the world, America has changed so much. We have community gardens today. Like I I don't have a huge backyard where I am. I have 5 raised beds, but there
mhm,
is a guy. It might be 4 blocks from here, Billy. I go harvest from his garden because
mhm,
he has a huge backyard.
mhm,
And we really have to prioritize the things that are good for us. And
mhm,
food is one of them. You would have to invest the time, either go to a community garden for $25. You can have a huge bed that you plant tons of things that you can eat all summer.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
And this
mhm.
is all over the country. We have it in Georgia, in Atlanta. We have it in Georgia. We have it in DC. We have in Dallas.
Oh
You,
yes,
you
they're
just
all
need
over.
to look. Yes.
It's just a matter of considering it important enough to do the
Yes, to
research,
invest.
to to reach out and do these things. But like we've been talking about the things that we need in terms of different different nutrients and things like that, which you talk about in the book. You also talk about eating the rainbow, and you've mentioned that a little bit, and what exactly that means to eat the rainbow.
So when we, every food color comes with an array of vitamins, minerals, and I mean, it's magical.
Hmm.
And when you think about it, before there were nutritionists, dietitians, and all of this to be like, oh, when you eat this, you get vitamin A, green food is for this and that. Our great grandparents fed themselves by just eating the rainbow.
Mm,
So without overcomplicating things, when you're eating and you put different colors, you just know that you're feeding your body just the optimum of nutrients.
mhm,
And the gut, which over 70% of our immune system is in our gut, love diversity. So when you eat the same thing every day, your microbiome is not happy because it wants a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. So the easiest way to eat is to just make sure you're eating a rainbow. And it doesn't have to be, something stressful. Like, oh, tomato is red, butternut squash is yellow, carrot is orange, plantains is green. We're Africans, we do a lot of plantains. That's just an easy rainbow. Even if you're eating a salad, there are your leafy greens. There is the bell peppers. There is the tomato. There is the purple onion. There is a little bit of garlic that you can shred into your dressing. It's super, I don't want to say super easy, because for me it's super easy because
you're used to it.
practice make perfect. But that's the one thing about Bountiful Cooking that I truly believe, if somebody is not even, you've never cooked, you don't even care. But if, for somebody who is trying to do better for themselves and their home with zero experience, Bountiful Cooking is a gift that will gift to that family for generations. Because what you know, knowledge is that powerful. If you know today that Teflon pots are bad, and you teach your child, generations to come, that knowledge will just slowly. Oh, that's sweet. That sweet potato donuts
Sweet
with
potato
whole wheat
donuts.
flour. Yes.
Yes, I'm just showing some of the photos so people can kind of see, that there are a variety of things in here, like like a traditional cookbook. There are a variety of recipes
Yeah.
in here, but we're just talking about, of course, since she can't cook for us right now, we're just really talking about the.
We are going to plan when you guys have a live event
Yes,
that
oh, I love
I
to
would
do
come.
that. And
Yes, I would come and cook.
actually, I know there are, well, two of the ladies in here are my sorority sisters, so they are here in Atlanta for sure. So yeah, we could
Yes.
talk about that. I'm not sure who else
Yeah.
is here, but yeah, there's even a lobster dish, so
Yes.
there are a
You
lot of
need to
great.
read you need to read the story about how that lobster dish came about. And if you go through the recipes, because I'm a firm believer, food is not the enemy. How the food is processed, how the food is made, and how the food is eaten sometimes is the problem.
I,
Because even in there, I have chicken pot pie. And
mhm.
I remember my publisher's like, chicken pot pie. It's so common, it's so unhealthy. I said, no, it's how it's made.
Right.
If you make chicken pot pie that you're making your crust, you're using fresh, incredible veggies and a little bit of butter, and you make your own roux without using cream of mushroom soup. It's something good, because food, we should be able to eat the foods that give us comfort.
This
Healthy food shouldn't be, oh my gosh, I love that's the shrimp and
shrimp,
kale.
peppers, and
There's just so
tomatoes.
many beautiful things in there. Thank you
Yes.
so much for showing those.
Yeah, I just wanted to
It's
show some of the photos. I know we're talking about some of the nutrition in the background because, there, and you even said it before we came on, there might be people who never cook one of the recipes for one reason or
yeah,
another, but that nutrition stuff at the beginning, that in and of
yeah,
itself is enough to kind of guide you through.
yes,
But now somebody said invite Girl Trek Healthy Black Men and Girls. I actually work for them, Patsy. So yeah, in my day job. So you probably didn't know that, but yes. But it's so important for us to start with those basic things and really
yeah,
start to shift our mindset. One of the
yeah,
other things I want to touch on before two other quick things that are in the beginning of the book. You talk to us about, how we can set up our pantries and things to have to make it easy to have stuff
Yeah.
that need available to us so we're not tempted to
Yeah.
go do other things. You talk about, doing some meal planning and things like that. But you
Yeah.
also talk about not just eating the colors, but following the seasons. And this is something
Yeah.
that really learned in your book, because I've always thought about eating by the season when we think of like fruit and vegetables. Like we know right now, certain fruit is just really at peak season right now in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you also say that certain meats and fishes or
Yeah.
seafood have seasons as well. I never thought of that before.
Yeah. So if you live outside of the United States, then it's easy to think seasonality, because it's just you're going to eat what you have in
Mm-hmm.
season. But in America, we it's a blessing and a curse,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you have money. Just think strawberries. You would think that strawberry grows year round. The only difference is you realize that, oh, it might be in the summer, you would buy a pint this much, it might be for $4. And in December, you buy this much for $12.
Mm-hmm.
But it's there. And the taste is completely different.
Right.
I truly believe, and science today supports, that the way the body, the way nature made food to support our body. In the summertime, we have tons of fruits because it's so hot. In the winter time, we have lots of root vegetable because it's so cold. We want grounding hot stuff. Then we just eat. We eat fruit year round.
Mm-hmm.
When you eat in season, it's cheaper, it's healthier,
Mm-hmm.
because you're eating something that's grown right where you are or close enough. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't take a visa with the passport, flew from another world, because all those things impact the nutritional value of the food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good for the pocket, it's good for the taste. Like, think when you eat strawberries now, ooh,
Mm, they're
it's
good.
so good because
Mm-hmm.
it's fresh. When you
Mm-hmm.
eat strawberry in December,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't, there is
Thanks.
no sweetness to it. Yes.
Watermelon, like melons and stuff. So I'm like,
Yes.
ew, if you
Yeah.
get it off season, it is not good. It's not
No,
good.
it isn't. And girl, do you see how expensive it is when
Mm-hmm.
it's off season? And for me, because as a kid, we would eat oranges when
Mm-hmm.
oranges are in season. When it's not in season, there is where is it going to come from?
Right.
So mango was mango season. You eat mango and oranges and avocado. Like, things just, when it's not there, it's not there. I
Mm-hmm.
just remember that in the winter, technically in the raining season, we didn't have any fruits because it wasn't in season.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference. Just a couple things. We might go a couple minutes over if that's okay with you,
Oh
Adam.
yeah, I'm good.
I don't want to.
I'm good.
I don't want to assume that you have extra time. I'm going to
I
get to
will
your
make extra
question,
time for you.
Demetrius. I'll get to your question in just a second. But since we're talking about seasons and seafood, Karen says I had a coworker that loved oysters. She taught me to only eat oysters in the months that end with R. I never researched that. Now, in this book, it says oysters are good in the winter, the spring, and the fall. So basically, we shouldn't be eating oysters now.
That's right.
June,
That's
July,
right.
August.
It
Makes
could
sense.
be. That's right.
So even though you see them, they might not be, the best.
Yeah,
The best
yeah,
at all. So, and Patsy, yes, okay, yeah, 'cause she's like girl trek. I'm like, where did you make the girl trek connection? So yes, I have to look at your picture later so I can see exactly who you are. But Demetrius had a question about
okay,
rise coffee. I know it's the coffees that have like the mushrooms and stuff like that in it. I believe that's the right one. But yeah, I know that there are a lot of mushroom coffees and things like that
yeah.
now. So do you have any thoughts on that, Agatha?
So I truly, I don't like to talk about brands, but I would say I would not take it. So if you go to your co-ops, they would have like organic chaga mushroom that is just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I would go back to this whole thing that if you are trying to get mushroom, because there are mushrooms that are really medicinal, then get the mushroom. We don't need all the other things. I would not. I would not touch any of those with a long pole. I would ask, just look at the ingredient label.
Mm-hmm.
I when I did Anthony Williams, he's such a big believer. I don't know if you're familiar with medical medium, Anthony Williams. I love some of his work. I like people that I can touch research. I like to follow data. And with everything, you have some good and you have some bad. But with mushrooms, chaga mushroom is something that, depending on where I am, I would use. And I just would buy the organic chaga mushroom powder, period. There's nothing in it. That's just it. Mix
Mm-hmm.
it in water. So, depending on what you are trying to support, and again, I use the word support, not what you're trying to support. There is a reason you are doing mushroom. What is it that you're trying to support? And
Mm-hmm.
then look at the ingredients on that raised coffee and see, because I had a client who came with the same thing and I was just like, oh, let's go through the ingredient label. And she was like, oh, well, yeah, I won't ask you again. Let me just throw this, because it's like,
Yeah, when the
so no,
ingredient list is that
yes,
long,
yes.
just
So
being.
I would say no. And we would come back to, it's the same reason where you see people drink coffee for energy. You should, if you want to drink coffee, it's for pleasure. It's not for energy. If you want energy, you need to sleep better. You need to eat better. You need to exercise better. Those are the things that gives you energy. The same would, I mean, whoever does their marketing does a fantastic job
Mm-hmm.
with this motion, because I've seen it's popped. But if you ask me, I say no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a lot of brands. That's just one brand, but there are a lot of
Yes,
them. But I guess I
yes.
would put that in the same line as some of just supplements in general. Because I think what the challenge is that we've gotten into this space where people are trying to be healthier or more natural or more organic, or being vegan or whatever it is, that not folks are capitalizing on that and creating
Oh,
things
yes.
that might not necessarily even be what you
Oh,
think
yes.
it is.
They are
Like, yeah,
taking
it might not have this in it,
advantage.
but what else does it have in it? So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. They are taking advantage. It's the same thing when you look at the vegan meat. That is a whole accident waiting to happen, just like cigarettes.
Mm.
that they sued, and now you see the warning labels on cigarettes. Because when you look at some of those meats, those vegan meats, and you see the ingredients that's there, just the combination of all these seeds and nuts and oils, you just like, you know that this thing cannot be this good.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I say, oh, take black beans and put, cook it and mush it just a little, put some corn, put some bell peppers and make patty, that's vegan. And that's something that you can enjoy.
And you know what it is.
And you know what it is. And it's something that your body can easily digest, because that's another thing. Our bodies cannot just digest everything, especially all these man-made make-believe foods. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that our body can easily
Mm-hmm.
digest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, meat alternatives are too processed. Yes. So it gets
Yes, they are.
thing of process. And like, well, last question, and then we can get into a little bit of the work that you are doing with your organization and how people can get in touch with you. But we've already kind of touched on, a lot of great recipes, all those sorts of things, and you mentioned it briefly, but I want to go back to it, the whole thing of your cookware, because
Yes.
you can be eating all the colors, you can be getting all the right wonderful foods, that
Yeah.
are sourced ethically and all these beautiful things. But what about what you're cooking your food in?
Yeah. That's an important piece. And I'm glad that it's in the book. So even if we don't delve into it a lot, if you have the book, please read. I say read the book before you even start cooking. And with pots, Teflon. I mean, there have been so many studies. The non-stick Teflon is the popular brand name, but all these non-stick pots are really poisonous, especially when you're cooking and you see the little chip coming off. Where is that going? They've done so many, many, many studies how even they've tied Alzheimer's to the PUFAs. I mean, this is a big thing, but you don't even have to buy expensive cookware. Cast iron skillet is like, I have cast iron skillet that's 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the strangest thing, when I would show folks how to make pancakes in a cast iron skillet, I said the cast iron skillet is naturally non-stick without the Teflon coating on it. But you have to be mindful, because the aluminum, the chemicals that's on it when you cook in high heat seeps into the food. And sometimes it's not even the one that happens blindly. You see those things would scratch. Like, have you gone to somebody's house? And it might be somebody who is listening to it. It's like, oh my gosh, that's my pot. Just ask, like, okay, this metal, this peeling that came off this pot, where did it go?
Yeah, where did it go? Who ate it?
Yes. And we have all these issues with inflammation. You have headaches all the time. It could literally be coming from your cookware.
Mm-hmm. So I know we have talked. Karen's like, how do you clean a cast iron skillet? Yeah, I mean, is this?
Yeah, listen. I cannot tell you how many cast iron skillet that the first time I went there, I bought the whole thing. I had my in-house grill. I had the bigger pot. I had the, and I'm like, okay, why is everything brown? Why is it rusty? Oh, but the secret to your cast iron skillet, always when you're done with it, it doesn't matter when you see it, like, oh, don't use soap. I don't care what you do. Just make sure it's dry. So every time you finish, when I finish, I wash my cast iron skillet, I put it on the stove and dry it before I store it. That's the secret.
Dry. So
It
don't
should
just leave
never be wet.
it drip
And
anything like that.
in the beginning, I would oil it. In the beginning, when I dry it, I'll oil it, I dry it. But I want to say it might be 4 or 5 years into it. Now I don't do anything. I just wash, I dry. The one thing that I'm religious about is that if it's dry, it's happy. Yes. That's
so thank
the
you for
secret.
that.
Yes.
So see, you got a lot more than what you thought, because I know a lot of people were probably like, wait a minute, she's not in the kitchen cooking and doing a cooking demonstration. Like, no, that's not what
yeah, let's plan something. We are in Atlanta. We can do an event. Yeah.
Yes, we can definitely do that, because that is one of the things I'm wanting to do, more offline things. And I know there are at least 3 or 4 people in here that live in the Atlanta area, and of course we can put it out to that I'm aware of, and then can put it out for others as well. Because I'm being able to see this and watch you, have you show us some things and all of that. But that's why I love this book so much, just because it has wonderful, beautiful recipes and all of that. I'm looking at okra stew right here. I mean, there's so many things that it taps into our culture, as in, Black, or the culture of the African diaspora. But there are also some other things in here that are healthy cultural dishes that may not be, African in nature, but they're still, healthy items. Oh, and I know I said I was done with the questions, but I was not being truthful, because we have to talk about the fashion. Okay, we talked about it. Now, those who kind of know me a little bit know that I love, like, bright. Even today, I had to make sure I put on something that had a little African in it.
I know, I love it.
But your fashion, your style, I have to talk about that just real quick, because I love the fact that, here's another one, that you really represent, your culture, whether it's the hairstyles in this book, or, just the clothing, all of that, look at her and she beautiful, all of that, her and friends, family. I just love that.
Thank you.
It's really
That's
powerful.
That's my youngest sister, the one sitting next to me. Yes.
Okay. And then I know there's one in the back that's your family. But I just love that.
Yeah. That's our youngest and my husband.
Yes, I love that you included that, and that you represented your culture. Right before we went live, you were saying something to that effect, how you do like to show up in the world and wear your colorful garb. And for you, that's your dress up clothing.
Yes, I love it. And it's interesting because people are surprised, like, oh my gosh, you've been in America for so long, you still wear African clothes. And I'm like, it is who I am. And our clothes are really beautiful. They are so pretty. They are colorful. Someone had told me once, I think there was some, if I can't remember the name, that I went to here in Atlanta. And the guy's like, you look like a garden, like an African garden. I said, I am an African garden.
An African garden, okay.
Yes. I love any important place that I go. I wear my African clothes. Sometimes I wrap my hair. It's who I am. Yes.
And I love that. I love that. It's a representation of who you are. And, it's, this was one. My mom, I told you my mom bought this book. So she was like, this was one. She talked about, I love that one with the shoulder. She showed up.
Oh my gosh. I made that dress in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
And I really like, because we come here, we have our children in America. I want for my kids, my friends' kids, for them to see that we come from a rich culture. Like they don't have to run away
Right.
from our stuff, not our food, not our fashion. And I'm glad to see a lot of even American kids who have no ties to Africa wearing African clothes. It's I come from a rich culture, like incredible culture.
Yes. Well, thank you. Like I said, I had to say that because that was one of the things I told you. My mom bought the book, and that was the first thing she was like, "Oh, turn the page, such and such. You see that? Oh, that's cute."
Oh,
Yeah,
I am so glad.
we were loving that.
She's in Savannah. If I have an event in Savannah, I'll let you know so she can bring her book and then I'll sign it.
Oh wow, I know she would love that. She would love that.
Yes.
And we have done well, I did the African ancestry. Our ancestry takes us back to Sierra Leone. So at least I
Oh,
know where it
that's
is.
wonderful.
From her side.
Yeah.
So Patsy said, I love wearing African clothes too. Yes, I love it. Now my sorors are in the room. You know, y'all always see me in
Yeah.
royal blue and gold because I'm Semigama robe, but whatever I can make a Semigama robe, but make it African.
That's right. Have you been to Africa?
Not yet, but it is a plan.
Oh, listen. Do you know Ekene?
I don't.
I have to connect you with her. She has a conference that she hosts in Ghana. She lives here. She lives in Atlanta.
Okay.
She has, I think it's called the Iconic Womanhood.
Okay.
Yeah. She's gone to Ghana with women here, like three, I think this is her third year.
Okay.
And this year, I think they are doing Ghana and they are doing Cote d'Ivoire.
Oh.
She would be, you would love. I have to connect you guys
Yes,
because
please do.
you would make dresses in 2 days. They
Ooh.
would come to your. That would be a good thing for you to do. You would love it. I'll connect you with the Kenyan.
Ooh, and I actually have some fabric. Yeah, we'll have to talk offline. I actually already have some African fabric that I bought.
Oh,
That
girl, and you
yeah,
are in Atlanta. I'll
I
hook you up with my tailor.
okay, yes, we definitely talk. Yeah, that and who does all the fancy hairstyles for you. Yes. So yeah, my Atlanta
Yes.
feats when I get the hookup, I'll
The
let you all
hookup.
know.
You will share.
So
Oh my
I will share,
gosh,
I
that's
will
so
proud to
funny.
share information. You know, we are
Yeah,
sisters. This is a collective. You know, I don't feel like
yeah.
I should be the only one that knows. Like, no, I
That's
don't
right.
share
That's right.
information.
No,
So
I love it.
yeah,
This was fun.
it was.
And I mean, hopefully there are no more questions
Oh
that
no,
I can.
yes, I'm gonna.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Good.
there. How people can get in touch with you. I know all of that's been scrolling at the bottom, so you can see like
Yes.
what she is on
Yeah.
social media, as well as you know, her website.
My
So
website, yes.
you do coaching, so people can reach out to you for coaching through your website, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Even true, if they are on my Instagram page, they can go to my link in bio. There is a link there. Yes.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, I will. Normally, I have a closing thing, but tonight we've done a lot, and I appreciate you. So, everyone,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much for being in the room and being active. And once again, please to go grab a copy of Bountiful Cooking. You can find it in plenty of places online or local bookstores.
Oh, Barnes and Noble. You
Right,
know,
there
they
is
can find it anywhere.
bookstore as well, which is affiliated with Bookshop. So if you purchase books through Bookshop, if you follow this link, it'll take you to Brown Girl Collective's Bookshop page, and you'll find this book along with many, many others that we have featured in this space on that spot, in that spot. So please do so, pick it up, you know, and let Agatha know that you have read it, you know, and reach out to her and
Yes.
thank her for all the wonderful things that she's doing for all of us to live healthier lives. And, you know, of course, we always want to live well. So thank you, Karen. Agatha, I don't want
Thank
you
you.
to hang up, but I'm gonna let everybody else go. So,
Yeah, I want to
everyone,
just add one little thing. This is my closing. Thank you, thank you. And my gentle reminder, honestly, it doesn't matter where you are in your health journey. Please remember that the human body, this body that God gave us, truly has the capacity to heal when you provide the mind, body, and spirit nourishment that it needs. It doesn't matter where you are, you can get better. That's
yes.
it. God
And
bless.
it's never too late. You do say that in the book. It's never too late to start. So,
Yes,
all
yes,
righty then. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Please share this out. Please pick up copies of the book. Please be, if you're an ATL, be on the lookout for more.
yes.
And we'll see you again next week. Next week we will be talking about the Black Woman's Guide to Getting Free. Tamara Winfrey Harris's new book. We'll be talking about that one next week. So talk to you all soon. Agatha, don't you hang up. Everybody else, we'll see you later. All right. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.